Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Beyond the Bookings, the Travel Edition. My name is Mario Kiriakou. I'm the co-founder of Ratio. We're a digital experience optimization consultancy working with a range of travel brands to help them optimize the customer journey to drive conversions and ultimately increase revenue. I'm really excited to everyone to join us today in this presentation. I'm joined by a couple of my colleagues, Douglas Morris, we are Ratio's Experience Optimization Director, and Kaylee Green, Head of Digital Strategy here at Ratio. Just to give you a little explainer of today's format, for those of you who haven't been to one of our presentations before, we do these a little bit differently. So each session, we run these on a monthly basis. We take a couple of well-known travel brands and we analyze the customer journey across some key segments. So today we'll be looking at things like the booking experience. We're looking at things such as pre-trip planning, pre-departure, post-tripping experience, and we'll be breaking down each of these micro segments, these customer funnels, and looking at what makes these segments tick for a couple of well-known brands. And we're pleased this month to be analysing and breaking down the customer journey across a couple of brands, which I'm sure everyone's familiar with, Expedia and British Airways. So each month we'll take a couple of different brands. We're always open to suggestions. So if there's some brands you want us to analyze for next month's session, drop us an email, leave something in the chat window, and we'll literally happy to include that in the backlog of analysis we do next time. Today's session is recorded, so we'll share a recording post webinar. You can ask questions throughout the session, so you should have access to a chat toolbar within Zoom. So just pop your questions there, and we'll endeavour to answer these at the back of today's session. We keep these pretty interactive, so you'll see these are a little bit different to your standard PowerPoint breakdowns, but hopefully it'll be interactive, lots of questions, and we're really excited today. So I'm going to hand over to my colleagues, Kaylee and Doug, to kick us off.
Thanks very much, Mario. As you said, and I'll reiterate, welcome everyone to today's webinar. In our previous webinar, we explored the website experience of some leading companies. And as Mario said, today, we'll be focusing in on what we can do as marketers post-booking to increase booking value, lifetime value, and customer satisfaction. When we work with our clients to plan these types of engagement programs, we're always conscious to frame them around the journey of that brand's customers. We find that by grouping the experiences their customers will be having into phases, like you can see depicted there, immediate post-booking, pre-trip planning, and so on, it means we can hone in on what the customer's actual needs and expectations are at each of those steps. Today, of course, we'll be exploring a relatively generic example journey, but it's important to recognize that the experience of the customers of a luxury African safari traveler, brand, I should say, will be quite different from that of a customer booking Ryanair to go from Paris to London in Europe. And so the journey you should frame your own engagement program around, in other words, should be based on user research, which shows the experiences your own customers are having. So let's take a moment to think about why it is that zooming on the customer journey is so important, and why it should be at the heart of what we need to do in travel and hospitality marketing. When we talk about the customer journey, we're not just referring to the steps a traveler will take from the time that they search for a trip to returning home. We're talking about every single touch point they'll have with us, from when they browse our website to the memories they share after their trip is complete. And what we want to try and achieve is create a world for that customer where every interaction with us feels like it's tailor-made just for them. Research shows that businesses centered around their customers are far more profitable. Deloitte found, for example, that customer-centric companies were 60% more profitable compared to companies not focused on the customer. And that's because customers today expect more. They want seamless and personalized experiences. They want to feel valued. They want to feel understood. So personalization isn't just preferred, it's actually anticipated. Studies have shown that a vast majority of consumers are more likely to buy when offers are tailored to their interests and needs. And Salesforce research uncovered that 76% of customers expect consistent interactions across departments. So There is a bit of a gap between expectation and reality when it comes to most brands. And this is where planning around a customer journey comes in, because by mapping out and optimizing every step of the journey, we can bridge that gap between expectation and reality. So let's move on to the first step in this journey. And what I'm going to do is talk about some of, I guess, like the theory behind why each step in this journey is so important. And then Kaylee will show some real world examples of communications at that booking step. So the first step is immediate post-booking, and it's one of the first and most pivotal stages in our customer's journey. They're excited, and how we engage with them now sets the tone for their entire experience with us. So it's really a golden opportunity to make a lasting first impression. This phase is important because it's our first real chance to interact with customers following their decision to embark on a journey with us. And the initial excitement of booking is still fresh in their mind. The reality of an upcoming adventure begins to set in. So our objectives are to provide reassurance, essential information, and set the tone for the future. Immediately after booking, customers are often seeking validation for their choice. This is a vulnerable time. Buyer's remorse could creep in, particularly if it's a significant investment like it often is in travel. So our communication needs to provide reassurance that they've made the right decision and solidify their trust in our brand. How we communicate during this phase sets expectations for the entire customer journey. We want to demonstrate clarity, efficiency, and personalization, and teach our customers what they can expect from us moving forward. We want to show them essentially that they're in good hands, that we care about them, we're attentive to their needs, and that we're as invested in their journey as they are. So in terms of things we should be looking to try and do here, it's an opportunity to drive further engagement. So prompting customers to download our app, follow us on social media, subscribe to updates so they can keep them connected and engaged. And that allows us to start developing a relationship that we can continue in later steps. We should be leveraging any available data to personalize our communications at this stage. That's a significant best practice. Again, that shows that we're paying attention to our customers' preferences and desires. And that could be as simple as recommending a travel guide based on their destination, or as intricate as offering customized add-ons that enhance their planned trip. So in essence, this first phase is about more than just confirming a transaction. We want to start the customer journey on the right foot, ensure the traveler feels valued, excited, confident in their decision, and we want to lay the groundwork for a positive and memorable travel experience. So Kaylee, what have you found out there as far as what communications are happening around this stage?
Brilliant. Thanks, Doug. So yeah, as we kind of mentioned, we wanted to kind of give some real world examples of where people are doing this, or where British Airways and Expedia are doing this really well, and potentially also where they can look to do some improvements in terms of how they're communicating with their customers, and when they're communicating with their customers. So of course, as we've kind of heard there, one of like the key things and one of the like the first actions which we should be taking is obviously that order confirmation. We want to obviously inform customers about lots of information, what they've just booked, and being able to give them the opportunity to manage their booking. And most of us have traveled or have been abroad or used an airline or used a hotel. And as customers, we expect this communication to be extremely timely. So we expect this to happen instantly. And if it doesn't, then, we start to get worried and we have that anxiety as customers that have we actually booked anything? So really important that this is an instantaneous communication. But when looking at kind of British Airways, that yes, it's a very transactional communication. It's giving you as much information as it can. As kind of Doug mentioned here, they've kind of got that example of being able to check out destination guides, already like looking to upsell people at this really early stage. When looking at that and thinking about that, so if this is a really timely communication, is this really going to be the best and right time to be putting upsells in front of people? It might be a case that people have forgotten, and this is a great prompt, but they've just booked. So, all in all, you would expect that they are satisfied with what they've booked. So there's a potential kind of, I guess, when we're thinking about contact frequency and how we're contacting customers, when we're contacting customers, then upsells might come a little bit later, obviously before someone has taken their flight with British Airways. So this is kind of a really great opportunity to test some of those frequencies. Like when do we kind of target people with upsells? Is it really going to be in the order confirmation, or are we going to get better conversion rates later on? So this was kind of example, as we kind of mentioned, there's like lots of information here in terms of like how it's laid out. Yes, it's very transactional, but it's all kind of very close together. And there are lots of words. And I would kind of recommend that this is a great opportunity to bring more of these order confirmation emails to life. So that actually, you know, you are grabbing people's attention. They do want to go back to it, and that it is an easy read as well. Because yes, it does go on a little bit. But then also this is a great opportunity to capture people in having set up a My Account as well in this stage, because this is another great way to communicate with your customers and ensure that they've kind of got their portal for all their information. So yes, so looking at British Airways, I'll probably go to My Account. Of course, they logged me out. But essentially, having My Account is where you can also, you know, target people with information about their trip, get them delighted, and also an opportunity to grab people in terms of your loyalty scheme. But we'll go into that one in a bit more detail in a second. So I'll hand you back to Doug to look at the next step.
Thank you, Kaylee. So next, in our generic-ish, but kind of indicative journey map, is the pre-trip planning phase. And this is also, well, as every step is, a critical stage in our customer journey. So here, it's a time of great anticipation and preparation for our customers. And what we're really trying to achieve is to mitigate their concerns, help them to plan with confidence, and also to look for opportunities to strategically drive revenue growth through our brand. So it's not all about mitigating concerns at this stage. This is an opportunity for us to take our travelers' experience to the next level. So we can look at suggesting upgrades, additional services, or personalized recommendations, and not only enhance the customer satisfaction, but also create memorable journeys. Engaging with travelers during the pre-trip planning phase helps us to establish a deeper relationship between the traveler and our brand. That lets us position ourselves as trusted travel partners, which obviously fosters loyalty, encouraging them to choose our brand for future adventures, and further contributing to our revenue growth. So in essence, the pre-trip planning phase is about much more than just preparation. It's a strategic phase that impacts both customer satisfaction and revenue. And what we want to try and achieve is to thoughtfully integrate upsell, cross-sell, and ancillary services into this phase so that we can enhance the traveler's experience while also contributing to the financial success of our brand. What sort of stuff have you uncovered in this phase, Caitlin?
Thank you again. So I'm going to jump over to Expedia this time to just kind of take a look at some post-booking experiences. So I think, you know, in general, Expedia do this quite well in terms of kind of getting you excited, giving you more information before you actually go on your like fabulous holiday or book into your swanky hotel. So this is just kind of like an example of where I had booked to go to York. And yes, so they, you know, again, nice targeted email communications, you know, informing people about what they can do on their trip. Because, you know, if you are creating that relationship with this customer, you are, you know, a friend giving them information about what they can do and see whilst they're in destination, then they're more likely to go back to you for advice and more likely to book with you again. So again, kind of like a good example of where you can kind of keep people engaged and keep people excited before their trip. Also, again, kind of when we were talking about ancillaries and the upsells, that this is, you know, in between at this stage is the right time to play around with your, you know, when you contact people. for the most upsells. And so obviously looking here, getting like some transportation added on as part of the booking. Again, quite a transactional communication, but ultimately it's giving me all the information that I need to know, and also directing me back to their website as well. So itineraries, a great way of kind of keeping people engaged, informed about what they're going to be doing, so they can make sure that they're really well planned and well thought out. So that's the good from Expedia. I'm going to show you a little bit of an experience I had with Expedia. And this is obviously, where I had booked. They'd captured my information. I was, going to be going on holiday. And so we're talking about like this step in the journey. But they've gathered my information and they're like, great, okay, so let's keep this communication open. Let us tell you about some great stuff which we've got going on. So 7th of April, I received this daily deals email. Again, we think about it, like, is it right to be communicating with a customer before they have kind of gone to their destination? Would we start looking at sending out these types of communications like after they've been on their trip, and you obviously want to keep them engaged and loyal? But we won't focus on that too much. But okay, we got some offers. Great, thank you. Then the 9th of April, here is a flash sale. So here's some offers. We're telling you about your offers. So it's okay, fine, thank you. 12th of April, it's telling me, so this is kind of then a, more targeted email. So this is good. You've been somewhere, or you've been given something spectacular. But again, it's talking about, here's your deals. And again, they're kind of, trying to capture my attention with different subject lines. They're trying out all these angles here. And then the 15th of April, it's really trying to hammer home. You've got 50% off. This is seriously too good. Member pricing. And it's at this stage I'm starting to think, I think I get it, but I'm good for now. And then the 19th of April, again, it's telling me that I've been given something spectacular, a repetition. And by now, like potentially like from an email marketing perspective, like if we want to get a bit more automated, personalized, targeted, then there should be kind of like signals and clues that people aren't interested at this stage. You're going to be frustrating them even more. And so this is where we can use things such as AIs to kind of figure out whether people are interested, are they converting, are they actually clicking through on these emails? Because if not, you're more likely to lose a customer, or lose a loyal customer by unsubscribing from your list. And then again, I've 21st of April, I've got some more daily deals coming my way. And then the 22nd of April, I've got this email again. And this time they're not kidding. But I'm not kidding that I then unsubscribed. So that was just kind of a real life example of where you need to be, really balanced in terms of when you're communicating with your customers, how you're communicating with your customers, and at the right stage in their post-booking journey. Yes, and as you can kind of see from the emojis, that's kind of like what led me to unsubscribe from that list. But yeah, I thought I'd share that with you. Back to you, Doug.
Thank you, Kaylee. I think we all probably feel a bit sorry for the email marketing team at Expedia, who clearly had a revenue growth target they hadn't hit in that month. But yeah, as you can see from the experience that Kaylee had, spamming customers with offer over offer for new trips when they're still trying to plan their existing one might get you a sale or two, but it definitely leaves a very poor taste in the mouth of the person who's receiving your emails. The next phase is the pre-departure phase, and here travelers are making their final preparations before they set off on their journey. So they're reconfirming their itinerary, packing, ensuring everything's in order. This phase plays a significant role in ensuring a smooth start to their trip, and we want to, again, do what we can to build confidence, minimize stress, and enhance the anticipation they're feeling. Travelers are highly engaged during this phase. They want reassurance and information. They might have questions about things like the flight details, accommodation, travel documents. Being responsive, providing clear, timely answers will enhance their confidence in our and your brand. This phase is an opportunity to provide travelers with the essential information they need to answer those questions and have a hassle-free journey. From things like airport procedures to local customers, giving this guidance can significantly enhance the experience of our customers, and we know that happy customers are likely to become loyal customers. It does also offer some revenue generation opportunities, for example, offering airport lounge access, last-minute upgrades, or travel insurance, and this can add to the traveler's experience while also boosting our revenue. These options should be presented, obviously, in a way that aligns with their journey and preferences, rather than, if we can call it, the Expedia style. By providing valuable information and support during this phase, such as through detailed pre-departure emails, we can strengthen our connection, we can help these travelers see us as a reliable partner, and increase the likelihood they choose us for a future trip. So yeah, the pre-departure phase is pivotal. Travelers are making their final preparations, and it's a strategic moment to enhance their experience and to build loyalty. What have you got for us, Kaylee?
I have got some stuff for you on British Airways. So, in terms of the way that they keep people engaged, I think in terms of they have their app. It has kind of like some good information in terms of telling you, when your flight times are, and also being able to kind of like book in there as well. But good to kind of like have this app. What I find they do really well is that, when I'm on my way to the airport, then the alerts that they give me are really timely, makes it easy for me to use and have my boarding passes on my phone. So I think they do that really well. I also had kind of like a little bit of a other example here from KLM in terms of when thinking about loyalty schemes, because I think with BA's loyalty scheme, they do that really well. But I'll jump into that in a sec in terms of where there might be some confusion. But I just wanted to pull this out in terms of like a digital experience. So I'm part of Flying Blue, which I didn't actually know what that was when I was booking with them. And then I thought, okay, I'll download this and add it into my wallet. But in terms of like how I use it and what I use it for, it's kind of a little bit unclear to me. So this is where if we want to kind of capture people to be part of our loyalty schemes, and be using more kind of our digital products as well, then we need to kind of like really explain it explicitly. Like, what do I get out of it? What is the scheme? Is it going to be worth it? To kind of really give people those great explanations. So yes, as I kind of like mentioned, when we're thinking about loyalty schemes and after kind of a booking, this is kind of like a great opportunity as well to kind of keep that loyalty, so that then eventually they'd hopefully come back and book with you again. The only thing I will say, as I mentioned about British Airways, is that great in terms of building up what they have is Avios. But as a customer, it's a little bit unclear to me like how I move up stages, not too kind of clear on what tier points are. So this is where we need to like really build that relationship with customers to make sure that we have loyal customers. But yeah, as I kind of mentioned, the app itself, it does what it says on the tin, and it makes it really easy for me as a customer. When I want to be jumping on my flight, it's just nicely positioned there in my wallet or in the app. So yes, that's a really good experience for me as a customer. I'll hand you back to Doug.
You. Well, yes, the next stage after pre-departure is probably going to be pretty self-evident, and that is during the trip. And so here, obviously, the traveler is going to be actively immersed in their journey. They could need assistance, information, or guidance. And by offering responsive support and excellent customer service, we can enhance their overall experience and build trust in our brand. So here, in this phase, we're looking as well as to provide that great level of service by continuing to tailor the traveler's experience. Ideally, we could look at offering personalized recommendations for activities, dining, experiences at their destination, and make sure we're doing what we can to enhance their journey and create memorable moments. These recommendations obviously aren't just about additional spending. We're trying to add additional value and delight to the trip. But as I mentioned, this is a opportunity to showcase our exceptional service and support, and that's a critical part of building traveler loyalty. And when we are engaging with travelers during the trip, it allows us to gather valuable feedback. And by actively seeking their input and addressing any issues promptly, we can demonstrate our commitment to their satisfaction and continuous improvement. So I guess to summarize, during this stage of the journey, travelers seek support, personalized enhancements, and I guess an exceptional experience. It's an opportune time to show that we prioritize customer satisfaction and ensure that our traveler has a memorable journey that leaves them eager to choose our brand for future trips. Do you have any experiences you can relate to this step of the journey, Kaylee?
Yeah, absolutely. And like from both sides, like as a customer and also having worked for a like travel experience company. So like the example I can give of the company I worked for, so they put on travel experiences across the world, and they got really fancy in terms of like in-destination connectivity, and when it also came with customer support. So they would put on events, and you'd have a digital wristband, which you could kind of connect to all of your experiences, if you like. And it would also allow the opportunity you could actually book in with this device as well, and it was connected to an app. So that was great. You could obviously upgrade your experiences whilst you're in destination as well. So if you fancied actually, going to that DJ set, and you wanted to add that on as an ancillary, then you could do that in destination as well. So that was a really good example of where you can use technology within an experience. And you can kind of get quite sophisticated with it. So that was kind of a good example of where like technology can enhance the experience. So yeah, and you're back to Doug.
Sounds like some super blue sky thinking. I remember listening to a podcast about Airbnb where one of the ways that they tried to think about what sort of experience they could create is not to set their target at what a 4 or 5-star experience would be, but set their target at what an 11-star experience would be, and then kind of work backwards from there to identify what's actually practical. And definitely sounds like with that wristband, that was what was happening there. But moving to the next stage, well, the customer's just been on the trip. So now we're thinking about what happens when they return from the trip. And here, travelers are reflecting on their experiences. We've all been there and eager to share them with others. So this is an opportunity for us to engage with them, to capture their feedback and encourage them to share, no doubt, the amazingly positive experiences they've had so far with our brand, due to our excellently constructed customer journey map-focused engagement program. One of the key objectives here is to gather feedback. We want to get insights into the traveler's journey, and want them to highlight for us what went well and where there's room for improvement so that we can enhance future customer experiences even further. It's also about building brand loyalty at this phase. We want to, by actively seeking feedback, by expressing gratitude that they chose us and offering incentives for future bookings, we strengthen the traveler's connection to our brand, and that hopefully translates into future repeat business. Travelers often experience post-trip nostalgia, and a desire to plan the next adventure. Again, I'm sure this is an experience we can all relate with. And by re-engaging with them during this phase, we can inspire future travel plans and maintain our presence as their preferred travel partner. So I guess in summary, this phase is about engaging with travelers, capturing their feedback, and nurturing the relationship by seeking surveys or reviews, expressing appreciation, and providing incentives or promotions for future bookings. What have you got for us when it comes to this, Kaylee?
Sure. Well, I kind of touched on it earlier in terms of when we're looking at BA, their Avios program is a great kind of loyalty scheme. Also, I've part of Expedia. Obviously, at the moment this year, I haven't got a lot of activity going on. But yes, obviously they have a loyalty scheme as well. I think potentially where both of these companies fall down a little bit is in terms of like how they're using their loyalty schemes or explaining their loyalty schemes to their customers. They tend to be a little bit confusing. There's too much going on. So simplicity is like really key to keep people engaged in these loyalty programs and to keep getting them to use them. I am kind of like quite an avid user, as I mentioned, of British Airways. Again, I mentioned it's like one of the best ones. But when it comes to things such as tier points, I'm not really clear on what that is. So again, just being like really clear. But even having these loyalty schemes will really keep people engaged with your brand and keep them coming back to you.
Awesome. I just had two examples, not from the brands that we are focusing on primarily, but just showing, I guess, like in action, so to speak, some feedback, automated feedback survey emails coming from Wizz Air. And the thing I think is really interesting actually is not that they, in this first screenshot, had a survey generically about flying with Wizz Air from, well, in this case, London to Budapest. But also in the screenshot below this, they've actually gone to the extent of sending out a survey specifically when I had a flight cancellation in order to find out about what my experience was there and what they could have done better. And I thought that was really interesting, the idea of focusing on some like key potential pain points or frustrations in the customer's journey and using those as opportunity to get some really targeted feedback. And I guess the one other thing to say in the screenshot below this one, question mark, from Ryanair. Yeah, is that you are going to like massively increase the engagement rates with these surveys when they're incentivized. So yeah, if you have that budget available, it's a great way to boost your response rates and make sure you're getting as much lovely feedback as you can. And that brings us naturally to the conclusion of the journey that we wanted to follow. Mario, I don't know if we've had any questions or whether this is a good time to conclude the webinar.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a couple of minutes remaining, so we got time for questions. Just initial one. I mean, I suppose like it can be relatively subjective in terms of marketers trying to define what is a good and not a good experience. And I think Kaylee's example of Expedia's email nurture plan post booking, which is clearly linked to revenue. I suppose the question then is, how do you strike the balance between, what are obviously highly commercial businesses with revenue targets looking to maximize, revenue from digital channels and trying to define what is a good experience from the customer's point of view? And I suppose is there a way to navigate between those potentially conflicting needs, really, which is a business wants to make more money and an individual is obviously are interested in auxiliaries or additional holidays or trips, but may be interested in other forms of content. So how do you define the right experience for the client that supports the business as well?
So I think this boils down to a really good contact strategy. So the things here which we really want to be honing in on. Yes, we understand that there's definitely going to be, targets to hit. We always want to increase conversion. But there are some, clever ways that you can do that as part of a contact strategy. Starting off small through the, subject line optimization, send time optimization. So we really want to think about like what is the optimal frequency of how and when we are targeting our customers, and with what product and with what offer, for example. So, if you do kind of have, let's say, for example, a welcome email campaign, like after someone has booked, then we can start to be a bit more sophisticated in terms of how we're planning that out. So rather than being, say, potentially like reactive and campaign led, it can be really targeted and focused on the individual. So have we got clues and signals that potentially would put you as a customer in a certain segment of customers? Like, are they highly engaged? Are they not engaged at all? Have they engaged with an offer email before? If so, then that might be a trigger to understand that, offers and promotions are really going to grab these people's attention. Or actually, we can start to have, again, more sophisticated segments of customers where we know that, they have engaged with our informational, with our city guides, their destination guides. And so we might then communicate with them in a more transactional or informative way. So by being, as I kind of mentioned, and like using, some great, obviously, like email marketing tools out there, and we can kind of get a bit more sophisticated, the likes of AI, in understanding like what our contact frequency should be. Then again, that's where you can then help to foster loyalty, whilst also hitting targets and, improving the upsells, ancillaries, or people uptaking offers. So that can be like a great way to approach it, is what I would say as a kind of recommendation.
Thank you, Kaylee. A few more questions come in. This one is, I'm not sure we're going to have the definitive answer, but I know it's one we've debated about oftentimes. Questions come in. Who would you say owns the customer journey? And I think that's interesting because obviously a lot of businesses are set up around channel owners, and of course, from the customer's perspective, they really care if someone owns the email channel or website channel, or is looking after PPC acquisition. Their journey crosses everything. So should someone own the journey? And I suppose, how would that work in practical sense?
I think that is, that from our experience, that does vary from organization to organization. Sometimes it's, especially in a B2B context, it's the CMO that owns the customer journey. Other times in more, I could call them progressive companies when it comes to this, they might have appointed a chief experience officer to sit at the C-level. I guess my focus as a marketer, even though I may not actually own the customer journey, is still to understand it, and to do what I can to improve the parts that are within my control.
Thank you, Doug. A couple of more questions are coming in. How do you think destination tourist boards would benefit? That's quite interesting because obviously they're perhaps geared more around content and driving people to third-party suppliers who perhaps you can book trips with or auxiliaries with. Is there a way that tourist boards could leverage some of the experience optimization points you've covered today?
I worked in a prior life for Tourism Australia through an agency, and I think it's really interesting if you look at their website, australia.com, at the time at least, and now I'm frantically checking whether it still is the case, and it is. They've actually structured their entire kind of digital front estate against these stages in their journey. So they have some initial content sections that are relating to getting inspired and looking at what places to go. Once the customer's made a decision around, I guess, like where they want to go, they have a section around things to do in each of those places. And then they also have a section around planning your trip. And yeah, I think it's interesting that they've actually taking this idea of a customer journey and what the customer is trying to achieve or the traveler is trying to achieve at each step. And that's how they've structured their digital presence to make it very obvious where to go for the customer to complete each of those tasks.
Thanks, Doug. Got a few more questions. I think we're trying to sneak in a few more. For higher value travel experiences, what is the best way to develop a post-travel relationship with the right balance of useful contacts and inspiration to rebook when there might be a longer period between travel dates?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. Like, yes, how do you kind of keep people engaged for a longer period of time? And I think, again, that goes back to for your business, what's going to be the right contact strategy. And again, these are things which you can start to optimize, play around with. But it might be more soft engagement. So when we're kind of thinking about content, again, it could be wonderful, beautiful blog content, which might be, kind of like top 10s, for example, so then people can kind of like come to the website, be informed in a kind of softer way, rather than potentially, pushing more things such as offers, if, and especially if it's going to be in like higher value travel experiences, then that's going to be definitely a slightly different experience in terms of how we speak to our customers and when we speak to our customers. So I'd say it's still applying the same strategy or the same tactics as well, but that your contact frequency might be different to the likes of, Ryanair and Expedia. You would hope that you're not kind of getting emails every 2 days, but yeah, I think the same rules apply there.
Thank you, Kaylee. I think we have run out of time now. I know there's a few more questions that have come in, so apologies that we haven't been able to answer everything today. So we'll run through these afterwards, and we'll endeavour to get back to you with a detailed answer post webinar. Just leaves me to say thank you everyone for taking the time to join us today. If you have any more questions, you probably have my email by now, but we'll include this in the sort of post event follow up with a recording. And yeah, have a great rest of the day and hopefully see you on next month's session.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.